This is the Accord Sequarallel. There can be up to 100 songs in the memory. The Sequarallel's playlist is initially based on a recorded MIDI song from a DAW or other source. Or it can be created as a framework based on length and loop markers only. When saving a new song based on, say, some track sequences and no size and loop settings have been made, the size is set to a default value and loop markers placed within it. This can be changed afterwards, of course. It's up to you to name the song after selecting a slot to place it in. The reason it's important to declare a song and loop sizes is layering. Layers depend on loop sizes and position in the playlist. Just click on Layer Add to add a layer quick box button to the screen. Clicking Record will prompt the bar count you wish to loop within. This will default to the song loop size if within an active song loop, but can be adjusted away from it. A layer can merge with itself, permitting recording to be built up, append to itself based on timing or pauses in playing, or create a new layer quick box instead, which is better if you intend to mute layers individually. There are also non-destructive modifiers, which I'll reserve for a different video. The song and layers are pretty simple and can be brought out to panel jacks via priority settings and MIDI channel to jack assignment in the CV quick box. The order in which notes correspond to the jacks is set by the ORD quick box. Jacks can be stacked, cycled, and defined by ranges across the keyboard or just selected randomly. Holding the encoder on the CV quick box will open settings for the selection. So, as a bonus, different combinations of MIDI channels could be applied to instantly switch the jacks to output from other parts of a song, or just act as 12 drum triggers if that's your thing. The TRAX sequencers handle the jacks in a more direct way as they are not dependent on MIDI channels. Note lanes in the trackers correspond to the gate and CV rows when row 1 to 4 is selected. If just one row is selected, then all notes in that tracker will be sent to the assigned gate and CV. MIDI output from TRAX is either single channel or MPE mode with zone 0 or zone 1, which is one MIDI channel per note lane. Having 4 voices on one TRAX tracker can be pretty amazing once the note effects are added to the mix. This introduction music was made entirely on 3 TRAX trackers with no song, and is only being modified with solos and transposition, and a few effects. The jacks marked bell in each row are for note velocity outputs, but can be assigned from MIDI CC, pitch bend, or envelopes. Each song can have 4 envelopes to apply various MIDI controls or CV outputs. There are 2 main types of envelopes, hand-drawn or recorded from a CV input, and modified ADSR type shown here. The ADSR is more of an AHDSSR and has curve adjustments in the usual places. Envelopes have several settings and can be triggered with notes, lengths adjusted, or over bars or measures triggered in the playlist. Envelopes have their own tracks in the playlist, so can be selectively used in certain areas. They can also be assigned to trigger with song or layer notes, but only on selected MIDI channels. If you like serendipity, doing a bulk effect shift is a fun way to modify a running sequence in TRAX. With each of the 5 TRAX trackers having its own set of 8 effects groups, the possibilities are pretty numerous. I'll shorten it to 8 steps so results can be heard immediately here. To select multiple steps and note lanes, the fill parameter is set to 8 and enabled. Scroll over to the far left column. Fill can be used with all types of grid adjustments, notes, levels, length, delay, FX, randomization, shifting, scaling, and of course copy and paste, which can be scrolled to adjust before executing, which is really handy, to adjust the size. Different effects groups can be modified during play as well, so if you want to tweak one, it's just a matter of opening up Edit Effects to make immediate changes. This can be more organized too. If the 8 effects groups were arranged to change ratchet parameters, for example, only, then shifting effects would give more predictable results with variance due to the FX masking map only applied. While the main song can contain real structure and can have layers added during a performance to give it a more live feel, the TRAX editors are where it's at for a lot of manipulation. But remaining hunched over the module during a performance may not be your thing. So thankfully there's a plethora of MIDI remote functions that can be set up, most of them via CC. There's quite a few parameters that can be set, and that list is still growing, so there's a copy from song number setting that will copy all the settings from one song to another so you don't have to keep putting it in. There are also various internal CV controls that can be found under the MIDI Push Clickbox CV I/O section. By the way, the voices you're hearing are GM Instruments, a MIDI Plus Mini, which has a newer Dream chip in it, and a Yamaha V-Drum Trainer, which has a pretty good GM list. This presentation can't end without mentioning that the Sequarallel has select bus capability, can input and output 96 PPQ and MIDI, and each song can have 4 user scales to use in the TRAX editor or over song loops in the playlist. The editor sounds the scales when modified, which is nice. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed this brief introduction to our new Accord Sequarallel module presently under development. Cheers!